Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today I am going to show you my miniature sunflower maze that I planted at Freedom Elementary. And I did this mid-March here in Florida, and by late May we have sunflower blooms. So I'm really excited because the kids were able to see the whole process of the plants growing and then flowering, and then over summer the plants will create the seeds, and then when we come back in August, the kids will be able to see the seeds on the plants. In this video, I am going to talk about how I made the garden and how long it took for planting, and I'm also going to show you some examples of some artwork that my students did after observing the garden. And it was with kindergarten students that we had do some beautiful paintings. And I'm just walking through the little mini maze area here. And the maze is basically just a path that is around the bird bath, which is in the middle. The garden was made up of a truckload of mushroom compost that I had spread out into a rectangle shape years ago. I added large rocks and boulders for a border and then stepping stones for a path. This is the beginning of the sunflower patch. Flowering. On Friday, a couple of them started opening, and then by Monday we had quite a bit of flowers. And I planted this about 2 months ago. And I just threw the seeds on the ground and raked it in. I didn't plant them very deep at all. And I just left them the way they fell. I moved a few toward the end over here, and where they were spaced a little bit farther apart, they grew a lot bigger. They haven't started flowering except one right there. But there's some big tall ones in the back here. And then of course the seeds that were really crowded aren't as tall. The stems aren't as thick, but it looks like I'm getting some pretty good sized sunflowers out of them. They're doing really well around the bird bath. And this is our little mini sunflower field. I started the garden around March 23rd, and then by April 1st, my plants were between 2 and 4 inches tall. This is the garden around April 29th, and the plants are from 1.5 to 2 feet tall by then. I water the plants approximately twice a week, pretty deep, and I give them a little bit of liquid fertilizer at this point. These pictures were taken May 5th, and this is approximately a month and a half after I planted the seeds. And some of the plants are actually 3 feet tall by now. By May 10th, I was starting to see the formation of buds, and that was approximately a month and 15 to 20 days after I planted the seeds. Quite a bit of plants have buds forming, and the plants are now taller than the bird bath. So we're getting a lot of good growth. This is May 16th, and you can see the plants are a lot taller now. They've been growing about a foot to 2 feet a week, and the buds are now starting to form or have already formed on most of the plants. This is the first little bit of yellow that I've noticed on the buds, and this was May 18th. Here you can see a little bit of the yellow ray florets showing through. And it's part of the receptacle. Underneath the sunflowers, the receptacle. And then the little involucral bracts are the green part that go around the sunflower before it actually opens. It's kind of a covering of the bud, or part of the bud. You can see some of the ray florets showing through here now. The yellow finally showing. At this point, the majority of plants have a pretty good size bud on them. And this was actually one day before the sunflowers started to open. So this is what it looks like. The very next day, the bud opened, exposing all the little tiny flowers in the center of the sunflower. And you can see here, this is a partially opened one. And the yellow part is actually the ray florets. So the flower is in the very center. The sunflower actually has many little flowers in the very center, and then it's surrounded by the yellow ray florets. This garden was planted in Zone 9, and it was planted during our beginning of our rainy season, and we had a lot of humid conditions, hot, humid days, and I think that's what sped up the germination of the seeds and then the plant production. We had a lot of ideal conditions for it. Normally these seeds take between 70 to 90 to 120 days for a sunflower to go through the life cycle. The planting to the first flower for this variety took about 60 days. The following is 2 days later, and quite a bit of them are now flowering. The variety that I planted was a black oil sunflower seed that was meant as bird food. So it was sold as bird food, and it was just a bag of sunflower seeds meant for birds called black oil. We just came from the garden, and some of my kindergartners are painting sunflowers that we just saw. And we observed the details inside, and now we're painting the flowers. And the kids are 6 years old right now. It's toward the end. We looked at some Vincent van Gogh paintings with sunflowers in a vase after we observed the garden. And some kids are painting the vase, and some are focusing on the sunflowers. And they're being inspired also by one of my sunflower pictures that I have up on my overhead. And here's a few of my finished sunflowers from kindergarten, age 6 students. After we were inspired by our beautiful Van Gogh sunflower garden. And it really does look like our beautiful sunflower garden. It did a beautiful job. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more, click on the subscribe button. And if you would like to support this channel, there are two ways to do so. You can click on the title. It'll take you to a Patreon account. And there's also an account for Teacher Pay Teacher if you'd like to support the channel. And I want to take this time now to thank all of my patrons who support the channel and those who are my subscribers in my Teacher Pay Teacher store.